You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, how you doing out there tonight? Yes, it's Jessie. And yes, I miss you when we're not talking. I am sorry. I am running a few minutes late. I am going to do something in a few minutes that I don't normally do. And quite frankly, I feel I have hashed Israel and Jerusalem to... I've talked about it and talked about it. I feel like I haven't been able to get off any one of two topics for weeks now. I've either been talking North Korea or Jerusalem. I feel like I'm the little hamster on the wheel. I'm running, and I can't get anywhere. And it's driving me a little bit bananas. I mean, I don't know how to explain this. I love Israel. I'm Jewish. There are two countries that have my heart, one that has my allegiance. My allegiance is here. But if I ever had to leave this country permanently for any reason, I would be going to Israel. And there's no two ways about it. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard Nikki Haley's comments at the UN today. But I am going to play them, and I haven't decided if I'm going to play them in their entirety, but we are going to start, and I am actually looking for some audio I have, and I'm going, where are you, where are you? I know I had you at some point. Because even during the previous administration, yes, even during the Obama administration, it was noted by our ambassador to the United Nations, whose name escapes me right now, that the UN and Israel are not friends. I don't know how else to put this. I just don't. So we're going to play some of Nikki Haley's comments, and then we're going to discuss some of the history with Israel and the UN. And I also have a couple of audio clips. While I couldn't get Justin Kinney on tonight, thankfully he and I have discussed Israel and how it got its borders previously, so I do have a couple of audio clips because Israel didn't get its borders the way everybody else did. Israel has a very unique history in that regard. And the UN was in the middle of it the whole time. So I feel it's important to go back and look at that. Now, I also have, as soon as I can find it, and trust me, I am looking hard. As soon as I can find it, I will be looking for, I am looking for the audio from the previous UN ambassador about Israel and the United Nations, because she had a couple of great audio clips. And I'm kind of playing clip roulette. In fact, let me see what this one is.
There's been no improvement in the appalling human rights violations in the country.
Okay, not it. Hey, I told you, I'm kind of playing clip roulette trying to find what I'm looking for. But I do have a couple of interesting audio clips on Israel. Some of them directly relate to the UN, some of them don't. Some of them are about their founding. Because like I said, Israel was founded in a very different way from all the other countries. And I think that is the only country that the UN was part of founding. So, like I said, we are going to play a whole bunch of clips. We are going to start with Ambassador Nikki Haley.
To its shame, the United Nations has long been a hostile place for the state of Israel. Both the current and the previous Secretary Generals have objected to the UN's disproportionate focus on Israel. It's a wrong that undermines the credibility of this institution, and that in turn is harmful for the entire world. I've often wondered why, in the face of such hostility, Israel has chosen to remain a member of this body. And then I remember that Israel has chosen to remain in this institution because it's important to stand up for yourself. Israel must stand up for its own survival as a nation, but it also stands up for the ideals of freedom and human dignity that the United Nations is supposed to be about. Standing here today, being forced to defend sovereignty and the integrity of my country, the United States of America, many of the same thoughts have come to mind. The United States is by far the single largest contributor to the United Nations and its agencies. We do this in part in order to advance our values and our interests. When that happens, our participation in the UN produces great good for the world. Together, we feed, clothe, and educate desperate people. We nurture and sustain fragile peace in conflict areas throughout the world. And we hold outlaw regimes accountable. We do this because it represents who we are. It is our American way.
All right, I agree with everything Nikki Haley has said, but that little bit has given me what I needed to find the audio clips I was so desperately searching for. All right, before we get into Israel and the UN, I want to go back and play some excerpts from an episode Justin Kitty and I did, and trust me, I reached out to him. He is busy enjoying time with his family for the holidays. Hey, Justin, Merry Christmas. All right, let's take a listen. Israel didn't get its borders from Sykes-Picot, did it?
No, Israel actually, well, I should say Israel was actually part of the deal. It was not called Israel at the time. It was actually called Palestine. A lot of people don't know that, but the word Palestinian actually used to refer to both Jews and Arabs that lived in that area. Excuse me. So Israel was part of this deal, but at the time it was really seen as part of, you know, what became Mandate Palestine, which was ruled by the British essentially. Their borders came about very differently than did the rest of the Middle East.
All right, so that was the first clip. Now here's the second clip.
Oh, absolutely. When I say Israel was part of the process, all I mean is the land that eventually became Israel. It was part of the deal, but it was not considered Israel. It was not called Israel. That process and the borders that define Israel all came, you know, a couple decades later.
All right. I wanted you to have at least some background. And I am all right. This is a clip from the previous administration.
But in reality, this vote for us was not straightforward because of where it is taking place at the United Nations. For the simple truth is that for as long as Israel has been a member of this institution, Israel has been treated differently from other nations at the United Nations.
Now, there was I'm going to put you guys in a little bit of a time warp. Go back to the previous administration about this very time. There was a major vote in the UN Security Council, and we did not exercise our veto power. And I'm not going to go into why. But here's some comments that came out of it.
Tomorrow night, Israel and the entire Jewish community around the world will celebrate the holiday of Hanukkah. Over 2,000 years ago, King Antiochus banished the Jewish people from our temple in Jerusalem and issued decrees trying to sever us from religion and our heritage. But we prevailed. The Jewish people fought back. We regained our independence and relight the menorah candles in the temples.
All right, so that is connecting Hanukkah to the temple in Jerusalem. Now, I've played before you before, and I will most likely play it again tonight. Ban Ki-moon, the previous UN Secretary General, recognized that the temple in Jerusalem was a Jewish temple. And that is something, to me, is very special. Because there are so many people that try and say that the most contested square mile of real estate on this planet, which is the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and I'm not sure if it's a mile, that's just how I phrase it, but it's definitely the most contested piece of land on our planet. Is not Jewish. Well, guess what, Buttercup? It is. And I know some of you are sitting here going, well, of course it is. You would be amazed. You would be amazed at some of the craziness that I have heard people say. I have spoken with Holocaust deniers. I have spoken with Muslims. I have spoken with someone who said in a different time and place they would kill me because of my faith. So I don't want to be told I am not open-minded. I will happily speak with anyone about it. In fact, after the commercial break, I am probably going to open the phone lines. And I don't do that very often. And it's just because, quite frankly, like I said, and I don't know how else to put this, I am tired. I am tired of talking UN. I am tired of talking Jerusalem. I am tired of talking some of these topics. Don't get me wrong. I love discussing international affairs. It's why I'm on here 4 nights a week. But I have to say that it gets old. Alright, here's another audio clip from the outcry that happened when the U.S. did not exercise its veto power in the Security Council.
We have full confidence in the justice of our cause and in the righteousness of our path. We will continue to be a democratic state based on the rule of law and full civil and human rights for all our citizens, and we will continue to be a Jewish state, proudly reclaiming the land of our forefathers, where the Maccabees fought their oppressors and King David ruled from Jerusalem. This holy book, the Bible, contains 3,000 years of history of the Jewish people in the land of Israel. No one can change this history.
All right. And then you had wonderful Secretary Kerry, who I was not happy with when he said Israel can't be both Jewish. I'm looking for the audio clip, but he put down the fact that Israel is a Jewish nation. And that's a bad way to start. That is a bad way to start in my book. Here it is. I'll let you hear it in his own words.
Today there are a similar number of Jews and Palestinians living between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. They have a choice. They can choose to live together in one state, or they can separate into 2 states. But here is a fundamental reality. If the choice is one state, Israel can either be Jewish or democratic. It cannot be both. And it won't ever really be at peace.
I'm sorry. I completely disagree. Now, UNESCO had something to say about Israel.
Just 2 months ago, UNESCO approved an absurd resolution denying the connection between the Jewish people and Jerusalem. Today, this council, including many of the world's leading democracies, the beacons of liberty, voted to condemn the state of Israel.
And yes, that included the United States at the time. This is the former UN Secretary General talking about the decision of UNESCO trying to separate Jerusalem from the Jewish people.
Positions of UNESCO are positions of the governing body of UNESCO. They're not, it is clear for me that the Temple of Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans. It was a Jewish temple, as it is clear for me that Jerusalem is today a holy city for 3 religions. These are the facts that nobody can deny.
So let's talk about.
So with those facts in mind, is it possible for Jerusalem to be a capital to 2 countries? Wasn't Berlin a capital for 2 countries? Now, there's a lot of history here that I know that I don't have time to go into, but I might. But for right now, we are going to take our commercial break, and I will see you on the other side.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
All right, that was part of Hatikvah. Hatikvah is the Israeli national anthem. So I wanted to play just a little snippet of it for you. Now, first of all, my promise to open the phone lines. I will get you the number right now. If you would like to call in, the number is 703-962-1985. Now, do I feel... Somebody suggested I do a show on Liechtenstein. Yeah, and somebody said I sound a little burned out. I love Israel, don't get me wrong. I love doing my show, don't get me wrong. What is wearing on me is the same topics have been coming up over and over and over again. Remember when I brought back Coffee Shop and I killed my Friday night show? I did it because I was tired of one thing. I was tired of talking terrorism 4 nights a week. And I do have a couple other things I want to bring up. I mean, there actually, believe it or not, is other news in the world. And quite frankly, personal opinion, we knew how that vote was going to go. We knew how that vote was going to go before we even stepped foot into the United Nations building today. I mean, but has anybody talked about the fact that Russia is holding drills near United States forces, China, and North Korea? Has anybody mentioned that? Has anybody mentioned that Russia's elite are a little nervous because guess what? We're now handing out individual sanctions. We're not just sanctioning countries. Has anybody mentioned that today? No. All of these other things have been sideswiped and pushed out of the news because of a single vote at the United Nations. And we are considering another round of sanctions against North Korea. Pence is over in Afghanistan. You might have heard that one. And Saudi Arabia is talking about its right to enrich uranium. I mean, and that's what's wearing on me today. So if you hear the exhaustion in my voice, that's what it is. That is exactly what it is. And even Hamas is admitting that the Palestinian unity deal is collapsing. Now, like I said, I am just worn thin today. Everybody's talking UN. And yeah, I'm feeling somewhat obliged to do the same thing. But I am trying to take a different angle on it. Now, I've got a couple more audio clips, and then I think I'm going to spend the last couple minutes going over some other things that haven't made the news today because of one UN vote.
Provide for secure and recognized international borders between Israel and a viable and contiguous Palestine, negotiated based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed equivalent swaps.
Now, that was Kerry's idea. You want to hear what the original idea was? Thank you, Justin, for knowing this.
Yeah, so actually, you can even go back a little bit further because the original Palestine was Jordan, too. And so the original thought, and this was never like official, made official, but the original thought was that what now is Jordan would be the Palestinian state, and then the rest would be Israel. But then that kind of fell apart a little bit. And so when the UN made their official recommendation from this special committee, they said that they were going to divide what was left of Palestine, Jordan is now out of it, into a Jewish state and an Arab state, and they were going to essentially base it on population concentration.
Hey, that might have actually worked, kids. But too many people stuck their noses in. And the UN has never been fair to Israel. I can't tell you the number of times that the UN told Israel that they were doing something wrong. And quite frankly, it annoys me. Why aren't you guys screaming about human rights abuses in China in Cuba. Why aren't you yelling about something else once in a while? So, like I said, it's not that I don't love the topic. It's not that I don't love my show. No, never fear, my show is not going away. Now, let's pick up with Nikki Haley, since we've taken blasts from the past. And by the way, I disagree with John Kerry, who that was what the last audio clip was. The 1967 borders were indefensible, and Israel won the land in the Six-Day War. Countries don't give back territory they won in land these days.
But we'll be honest with you. When we make generous contributions to the UN, we also have a legitimate expectation that our goodwill is recognized and respected. When a nation is singled out for attack in this organization, that nation is disrespected. What's more, that nation is asked to pay for the privilege of being disrespected. In the case of the United States, we are asked to pay more than anyone else for that dubious privilege.
Not to mention that all the diplomats to the UN don't have to pay parking tickets, and they have diplomatic immunity, so no matter what crimes they commit in this country, there is nothing we can do except complain to their nation, and maybe their nation will take them home.
Unlike in some UN member countries, the United States government is answerable to its people. As such, we have an obligation to acknowledge when our political and financial capital is being poorly spent. We have an obligation to demand more for our investment. And if our investment fails, we have an obligation to spend our resources in more productive ways. Those are the thoughts that come to mind when we consider the resolution before us today. The arguments about the President's decision to move the American embassy to Jerusalem have already been made. They are by now well known. The decision was in accordance to U.S. law dating back to 1995, and its position has been repeatedly endorsed by the American people ever since. The decision does not prejudge any final status issues, including Jerusalem's boundaries. The decision does not preclude a two-state solution if the parties agree to that. The decision does nothing to harm peace efforts. Rather, the President's decision reflects the will of the American people and our right as a nation to choose the location of our embassy.
Said it before, I'll say it again. Nikki Haley can tell you off with a smile in the most diplomatic of ways. And that is essentially what she is in the process of doing to the entire world. Now, I am going to let her finish finish playing her remarks, because I don't think most places played them in their entirety.
There is no need to describe it further. Instead, there is a larger point to make. The United States will remember this day in which it was singled out for attack in the General Assembly for the very act of exercising our right as a sovereign nation. We will remember it when we are called upon to once again make the world's largest contribution to the United Nations. And we will remember it when so many countries come calling on us, as they so often do, to pay even more and to use our influence for their benefit. America will put our embassy in Jerusalem. That is what the American people want us to do, and it is the right thing to do. No vote in the United Nations will make any difference on that. But this vote will make a difference on how Americans look at the UN and on how we look at countries who disrespect us in the UN. And this vote will be remembered. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
So that was what Nikki Haley had to say today on the floor. Now, I also want to contrast that with what I felt was a stronger statement in the Security Council the other day.
Now today, buried in diplomatic jargon, some presume to tell America where to put our embassy. The United States has a sovereign right to determine where and whether we establish an embassy. I suspect very few member states would welcome Security Council pronouncements about their sovereign decisions, and I think of some who should fear it.
We aren't sticking our nose in your sovereignty. Stay out of ours. Now, the line is still open if anybody would like to call in, but I am going to talk about a couple of other topics that have been squeezed out of the news, at least briefly. And yes, I do have a small stack of show prep, don't I always? For the night. Russia's armed forces conducted 2 drills on opposite sides of the massive Eurasian's territory, testing tense borders with the U.S. military NATO alliance and the eastern armies of China and North Korea. Yes, they were doing dual border drills. Russia and NATO have undergone mass mobilization since Moscow annexed the neighboring territory of Crimea from the Ukraine in 2014. What we should have done about that, well, that's up for debate, but we did nothing. Now, Russia elites face a nervous wait for the United States to reveal the new sanctions list. When some of Vladimir Putin's fiercest critics convened in Lithuania's capital earlier this month for the Free Russia Forum, a regular conference organized by exiled activists, they had an unusually strong sense of purpose. The group was to put together a Putin list, naming hundreds of Russian and foreign politicians, business people, government officials, and other high-profile figures, including Alexei Mordashov, who is Russia's richest man, that they want the United States to target with sanctions over dealings with the Russian president. Under the law, the administration has until February to present a report detailing prominent Russians with links to the Kremlin, their family members, sources of income, and potential assets in the United States. And Hamas has said that, the Palestinian unity deal is collapsing. Now, one of the latest disputes came earlier this month when Hamas, according to Fatah, missed a milestone to complete the handover of Gaza to Abba's West Bank-based government. Now, Hamas has said it's given up all administrative control. However, Rami al-Hamdallah said Hamas has not transferred money. And Hamas says Hamdallah's government has not paid salaries in Gaza as agreed. So they're basically sitting there bickering. Just as a reminder, in 2014, during the last Gaza war, Hamas fighters used tunnels to blindside Israel's military and threaten civilian communities along the border. Like I said, this isn't the only news in the world today. It just happens to be the one sucking the oxygen out of the room. Saudi Arabia should not forfeit its sovereign right to one day enrich uranium under its planned civilian nuclear program, especially since world powers have allowed Iran to do it. So we're going back to the Iran nuclear deal and what Iran's gotten away with. The reactors will be part of a wider program to produce electricity from atomic energy, so the kingdom can export more crude oil. Riyadh has said it only wants nuclear technology for peaceful purposes, but has not answered the question if they also want to enrich uranium to produce nuclear fuel, a process which can be the first step in making weapons. And for those of you who want more information on the whole process, there is a Conversations in Science episode that tells you all about it. Let's see. There's a couple other things actually going on in the world. The Catalan separatists win an election in rebuke to Spain and the European Union. Remember, the Catalonian region of Spain wanted their independence, and Spain basically squashed them like a bug. The unexpected result sets the stage for the return to power of deposed Catalan President Puigdemont, who campaigned from self-exile in Brussels. State prosecutors accused him of sedition, and he faces arrest if he were to return home. At a jubilant pro-independence rallies around Barcelona, supporters chanted President Puigdemont and unfurled a giant red and yellow Catalonian flags as the results came in. So, like I said, you're just not hearing these other stories tonight because, well, the rest of the world is focused on one and only one thing. Now, I do have a good news story, at least in my opinion. Hundreds of South Florida Holocaust survivors danced the Hora, which is a celebratory Jewish dance, at the semi-annual Cafe Europa luncheon that took place in Boca Raton. These are Holocaust survivors. Because many Holocaust survivors wished to meet others from their countries of birth, the tables were labeled with the names of the countries to make it easier for survivors to socialize and eat together. The nations labeled on tables were for Holocaust survivors from Austria, France, Hungary, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland, to name a few. Many of the survivors live in Boca Raton, Del Rey, and North Palm Beach and North Broward County. It's not only did Holocaust survivors enjoy the dancing, the food, and reminiscing, but they were served by volunteers from the Jewish congregation. So, like I said, this is definitely a good news story. Now, I am just about out of time, but I am going to take an extra minute here and say one thing. I'm confused, liberals. You say the tax break for corporations won't help the small people. So when AT&T says, hey, we're going to take our tax break and give a bonus to our employees, now you want to boycott AT&T? Can someone, anyone, please explain to me how boycotting AT&T, because they are going to give their employees a bonus off their tax break, makes sense? Because I'm going to suspect that most AT&T employees are that middle-class working people that everybody said this tax plan doesn't help. And I know I don't normally touch on U.S. news, But I've been scratching my head on how those two things went together all day, so I did want to bring it up. All right, I got one more audio clip just because I need to hear it, so you're going to hear it too.
For anyone going through any type of personal battle, whether it's cancer, PTSD, depression, a personal challenge that they want to do. They want to go climb Mount Everest. You need to stay in the fight. And when I say that, I mean mentally. If you're not mentally in the fight, if you don't stay in the fight, you can't win.
All right, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Jesse's POV. You can email me at the station at jessespov@klrnradio.com. And I will not be here Monday night. Even though I do not celebrate Christmas, I'm taking the night off. I am taking the night off. Because I figured all my listeners are going to be taking the night off. So I am too. So I'm going to wish all of my listeners a very Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
And to all, a good night.